Welcome back to another episode of the Big Leagues podcast. Got a lot of topics we're going to cover today. Jump right into Conor McGregor announced his fight recently versus Michael Chandler at International Fight Week in Las Vegas on June 29th at 185 pounds. That definitely was a big surprise to me. I don't
Yeah,
know about you.
yeah. I mean, I was kind of thinking more welterweight 170 is what we
Yeah,
were kind of thinking, but I mean, McGregor's been on the juice, so I guess he's a little bigger now, so wants to take advantage. But I I don't know honestly if it benefits McGregor more having it at a higher weight because Chandler's like built like a
Chandler's big too.
yeah, he's built. I think like we've been waiting for how long for this, like almost a year now for this announcement, but
Yeah,
got it, and Connor made it in a pretty Connor-esque way.
yeah, yeah.
I
He,
think
he definitely knew what he was doing there, taking the announcement into his own hands, and
yeah, he
there's
wasn't
a
letting
reason why the UFC hasn't announced it yet. They're
he
letting
told the
McGregor take it.
he was telling the UFC, I do what I want, like
Yeah.
probably. But yeah, I'm thinking like who do you really got in this fight? Like if we're just looking at it, set 5 months out, who you kind of thinking?
So I think if Chandler fought this fight like to the best, like if his life was on the line, I think he would win. But Chandler's been talking about how he just wants to fight for the fans, and we've seen that his last couple fights. He doesn't like he's a really good wrestler, but he just goes out guns a blazing, swinging for the fences, chin up in the air, just taking damage, giving damage. And I think you put him in a firefight against McGregor. I mean, the amount like McGregor's power, especially juiced up to 185, like he was knocking people's lights out at 145. So I think I'd have to favor my boy McGregor in that. There's no way.
Yeah. Well, it kind of like I also think that Chandler's just gonna want to come out and have a slugfest, like you said, give like the fans a really good show. But it just
Collect
kind of
his collect his money.
Connor really we haven't really seen much for Connor in the last 3 years. Like his last fight's against Dustin, which lasted one round, and then he broke his leg, and then he lost his the other fight to Dustin, got finished. But it'll be very interesting to see like if he's still kind of like the same old Connor, like he still got that dynamic power and like really quick accuracy on his hands. But I think if Chandler's just gonna put his chin out there and Connor's, prime Connor, like he's gonna wobble him for sure. Like he was
Yeah.
like Gaethje bad and by Poirier in those fights. So, but he was also landing bombs too.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, like it's definitely possible that Chandler clips McGregor too, because I mean Poirier had McGregor hurt there,
like
so it's
we've never
definitely not in the equation.
we've never really seen Connor like take a bunch of big hand like big blows like against Dustin. That I know he got finished there, but he wasn't taking like massive shots. But
Just kind of
um
like an accumulation of
yeah,
damage.
but and like going back to all his other fights where he won, he kind of even against Nate Diaz when I went late it was kind of just like you said, accumulative damage. But it'll be interesting to see if Chandler cracked him, like how Connor would
Yeah,
respond.
that's true. I think another big X factor of this fight, McGregor's been kind of, I don't know how hard he's been working. He's been on the party powder a lot recently. I seen him at the Joshua Wilder fights, sitting next to Ronaldo. He looked like he was pretty coked up. So hopefully he's been taking this serious because it would be like I want to see McGregor go out with a win. I don't want to see him go out on a big losing streak. It'd be pretty sad to see.
And Chandler's going to be training for this like it's like the
Yeah,
match of life. Like this is his biggest probably moment ever of his life. Like he's never
yeah,
gonna biggest fight of his career by far. So he's gonna just wanna win, like do whatever it takes. So Connor's gonna have to grind if he wants to be in this for sure.
yeah. Like I seen Connor posted a video the other day of it, like it was like Chandler like grinding out in the gym, like lifting all this heavy weight, and then it just cuts to him like with a drink in one hand and a J in the other hand. It's just like oh, I don't know.
Well,
He could be trolling, like maybe he is in the gym working hard. I don't know. I think like McGregor's definitely a pretty proud guy. Like he doesn't want to lose, so I'm
yeah.
hoping he's working hard.
Well, it's hard when you got all this money and like your life, like winning the fight really does nothing for him financially. Like he's
Yeah.
already set for life, so it's money's no longer like a motivator. So you kind of just gotta find something else that motivates you to win. But I think Connor's a pretty like proud guy, so I
Yeah.
think I think he's gonna train like as hard as he can, hopefully. make
Yeah,
a
no,
great.
for sure.
Yeah.
Another big fight announcement that just broke like about an hour before we recorded this. Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou. It's a done deal. No date yet, but I think it's going to be in Saudi Arabia again. Huge fight. Really excited to see. I know we've like theorized about this fight before, but now it's official. What are your thoughts?
I'm very excited for it. I think initially, after Joshua did look honestly pretty good in his last fight, like surprisingly good. Like I didn't expect to see him look that good, but Ngannou went toe to toe with Tyson Fury, arguably won, and Joshua is not as good of a like per se boxer as Tyson, and it's kind of he's more of a bodybuilder with power, and he don't got more power than Ngannou. So my initial thoughts, I'd probably lean Ngannou. Like he looked his first boxing fight, he's got crazy power, and Joshua just isn't really. Tyson Fury's what 6'9" too, and so I think that makes it harder when you're fighting someone that tall, to really connect
Yeah.
with big power. But I think Joshua's got his hands full here for sure. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, before we were talking about this, I said I had Ngannou all day. Like, I watched Joshua get knocked out by Ruiz. I watched him get beat by Usyk twice, and just what I seen just didn't impress me that much. I seen someone that had some quit in him and didn't seem motivated, but that last performance he did look really good and something to kind of get me a little nervous. But at the end of the day, I still think Ngannou's gonna win. I think Ngannou has more like dedication and like will to win. I just think his power, like I think he's gonna connect with Joshua, and I don't think Joshua is gonna survive the way that Fury did. I mean, Fury's known for surviving power punches, like getting up against the canvas against Wilder, just one of the most craziest feats I've ever seen. So, and I think Ngannou's gonna like that was a first for Ngannou. That was his first boxing match, and on the big stage like that. I think he's gonna learn from that. He's gonna be working hard in the gym. I think he's gonna get the win personally.
You think he's gonna fit? Like, do you think he's gonna knock him at Spark out? Like, or do you think he'll win kind of a decision? Because he almost won a decision.
I think he'll get a finish. I think.
A finish. Because I honestly, personally, in the going to the Fury fight, I thought it was 0.0% chance that he wins by decision. Like, only way he would win by knockout. But arguably he won that by. We're not going to get into that, but arguably he won that by decision. So I think even if he doesn't finish Joshua, there's still like I could see him winning on the cards. But
Yeah, I could too. Like, I think if I had to guess, I think I would say he probably finished him, but I could. It's not out of the question for Ngannou decision the same way that we thought it was against Fury.
yeah, no, well, I kind of it came out that it was Wilder against Joshua, so I was geared up ready for that fight, but
Yeah.
I was really disappointed when Wilder lost that because I kind of knew the fight wouldn't happen. But this is
Yeah.
about the best makeup they can make for that Ngannou versus Joshua. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, really
Yeah,
sick.
I was upset too after Wilder's performance.
Yeah, no, that
He didn't do that great, and that ruined the fight against Joshua. I was pretty disappointed, but I mean, this is to me just as good in my opinion.
no.
So
This will probably be like I'd say best boxing fight of the year in my opinion. Like I think personally like I love watching the heavyweights fight in boxing. I think that's the best weight class to watch in my opinion. Such power from the top guys like Ngannou and Fury or Ngannou and Wilder and Fury. So I think this would be a sick fight.
yeah, and then maybe winner takes winner of Fury Usyk. Maybe
Yeah, maybe.
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think Joshua would like to. I don't know if they do. Do you think they do Francis Fury again if they both won?
I think there'd be definitely be like a market for that. Like a lot of
100%.
people think Ngannou won. Not I don't, but a lot of people do. So I think there would definitely
And
be
I'm
like people would want it.
and I'm sure Fury would want to also like silence all like the haters who are saying
Yeah.
Ngannou just kind of because he definitely wasn't his best there. So
I
I
don't.
think
Yeah. I don't know. He says he trained super hard and all that, but I don't know. It just didn't look like the best version of Fury. Maybe that version's not there anymore. I don't know, but
it's getting
I'd
up
like
there.
to see it run back for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely would.
he definitely is getting. I'm not sure how old he is, but he's up there. And we saw from Wilder too. Like Wilder's 38 now, and that was his worst performance by far that we've seen
Yeah.
from him.
He looked kind of gun shy, I think, to me.
Yeah, no, it was hard to watch as a big Wilder fan. He just kind of did nothing for 10 rounds, then kind of realized he lost the fight and started swinging at the end. But I don't know. But I think I'd love to see Joshua. I'd love to see Joshua Fury because I think Fury would win that. But
I think
that's
Fury would win, too.
yeah. But they've been talking for like so long. I just think that'd be a sick. The
Yeah, especially like for the English fans too. Like they love Joshua, so
yeah,
like and Fury too. He's also English, so
yeah.
be a fight over there for sure. And then also just happened recently we haven't talked about was my Raptors making a big trade.
Oh yeah.
Made a deal with the Knicks. They traded OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa, and Malachi Flynn, and they received RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, and a 2024 Pistons second round pick, which is going to be like the first pick in the second round, so like pretty much a first.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that deal?
I think it's a win-win for both teams. Honestly, I think Toronto did a great job. I think that's the best you could have got for OG, to be honest.
Yeah,
And I think Quickly could honestly flourish as like a starting point guard. Like he never really had like the chance in New York behind Brunson. I think, and he looked good in spurts when coming off the bench, and when he played, and when Brunson missed some games, he looked good. So I think honestly he'd have a chance of being your starting point guard for a few years. And
definitely.
RJ's honestly pretty solid too. Like he's got some questionable efficiency, but I think if he there's always a chance he could take a step and become like the player people thought he was out of the draft. So I think Toronto did a good job. And then from New York's perspective, getting OG, one of the best probably like 3-and-D wings in the league, kind of I think he fits more what they needed compared to like
Exactly.
Quickly
Yeah,
being six man and RJ kind of being a more inefficient two guard. And I think OG you're going to get great defense and good floor spacing, and that's kind of what Randall and Brunson need. So I think that was a good move by them too.
yeah. No, I agree. Looking at like the Knicks first, I think OG is just a great fit for them, like you said. Like going in, like they're kind of looking around the Eastern Conference. They want to be like at the top of that. So for them to bring in someone that can defend like other teams' best players at like the wing position, I think that's great for them. OG is one of the better defenders in the league, which is something that they kind of lacked. And they got Brunson, they got Julius Randle to do more of the scoring. So OG can just be kind of secondary to that, but plays good defense, hit some threes, all that. Precious Achiuwa, I also really like him. I was sad to see him go. He could be a good rotation piece for them as well. And then for the Raptors, I think it's also like fit wise, it works really well. Um, RJ Barrett's 23, Emmanuel Quickly's 24. They fit our timeline a bit better to build around Scotty. And I think too, like you look at RJ, he was the third pick behind Zion and Ja that year. Like I thought he had star potential, and then I think you get him in New York, like in a big market, like with Randall and Brunson, kind of being more the scorers and taking more of the ball. He's more of like a third option. It's kind of tough for him to develop that where he comes in to Toronto. Who else is really being a big time scorer like Siakam, but he's not really as ball dominant as Randall and Brunson. So I think RJ could definitely take like a big step and maybe flourish. And it's also too RJ's from Canada, so it's not like we have to worry about him leaving or anything. Like he'll be happy there.
No, and he probably like coming from Canada, like he always said he's a fan of the Raptors, so it definitely won't be a problem signing him, like you said. But I think like if Toronto get at least one of them to make a leap and kind of solidify themselves as either Quickly as your starting point guard or RJ is kind of your starting two guard, and maybe he'll get you like 22 a game. I think that's a win for the Raptors, honestly, and you're
Yeah,
basically getting a first round pick, and OG was gone either way, so I think it's the best you could have got, honestly. And
yeah, it's good. I mean, like so far this year, RJ's been averaging 18 per game. Quickly's been averaging 15, and OG's only been averaging 15. So just in terms of points per game, right there, that's a big win.
not like you're even like losing out on competing with OG. I think honestly, like
Yeah.
this makes roster just as good now as it is like having OG. So
No,
I
I would definitely agree with that. like Quickly and RJ have been starting like already for us, and
Yeah.
like we
So
can get Schroeder off the bench, and like
yeah,
it's not like we're gonna make a playoff push or anything here, but I just think it's a good fit for our future and to build. And
like
it kind of leaves the question around Siakam, whether or not he gets moved. It's looking increasingly likely like he is. The reports have been coming out. I know Shams was saying here just hours ago that the Kings are looking like front runners. Also, the Pistons, the Pacers are like the other two teams to keep an eye on there as well. And also some dark horses too, like Warriors names have been mentioned. They've got some interesting stuff. Kaminga is coming out recently, like he could be on the market.
yeah.
And the Atlanta Hawks have also been poking around Siakam, making offers the last couple of years. So, a couple of teams to keep an eye on there.
Yeah. Would you, as a Raptors fan, would you be pro move Pascal, or would you rather try to sign him to an extension and then maybe not if you can't get a deal, trade him? But kind of
Mm-hmm.
what's your stance on that?
I mean, I don't think like I think if he makes it to free agency, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that he leaves. Like I think there's a good chance he stays, but I think if we could get a good return for him, I'd be fine to move him. I just think I want to see like the team shaken up a little bit, get some new faces, some new blood in there, fit the timeline. I don't quite have Siakam's age in front of me, but he's he's not he's not young anymore. Like he's not old, but he's kind of in that middle age, a little bit past our timeline.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
definitely think like those teams that I named have some stuff that could be interesting. Like if you're looking at the Kings, like they got like Keegan Murray, Davion Mitchell, that could be interesting. Maybe some picks depending on how the deal shakes out.
yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at the Raptors perspective in this current Eastern Conference, am I gonna win a championship with Scotty and Pascal as my 1-2? I mean, probably not unless you have a really good roster around them. Which I mean, the
Unless
Raptors
Scotty like turns into a top
exactly.
five, like 8 player.
So I think your best. I think you ship off like you already shipped off. I think you ship off Pascal, try to get the best collection of young players and picks back, and then regroup this offseason and see kind of where to go. Because I've always never been a fan of trying to build from the middle. I think
Yeah.
it's a tough thing to do. So I think either I think either try to tank or go for it. So and I don't think the Raptors have a chance to go for it really. So I think it's
I
your
mean,
best.
well, right now we're 12th place in the East right
Yeah,
now. 24th in the league at a 30. I mean, we could even get our pick. Honestly, I think it's might be top 8 protected. I want to say. So if we can
yeah.
keep that pick, that would be huge. Maybe draft like
I mean,
someone to be a top 2 player for us.
it's a pretty weak draft class. Last year
Yeah.
definitely would have been better to be at the top, but I mean, you'll find some talent at top of every draft. So
I mean, everyone like you hear that sometimes, but by the time the draft rolls around, people will be going on and on about player X, Y, Z. So I'm not saying we're gonna get like the next Victor Wembanyama, but if we could just get someone to be a top rotation player for us to come in, that would be better than losing. Like I just don't want to lose our first round pick, have a shit year, and not have a first round pick. That's pretty shitty. So if we can
yeah,
get that, I'd be hyped.
yeah,
Like there's also some interesting deals out there. Like those teams like Pistons were kind of small, so like Pistons got a lot of bigs like Isaiah Stewart, James Wiseman, a couple other bigs that we could
yeah,
maybe get in a deal. And like Pacers, like if we could get like Benedict Mathurin or Andrew Nemhard or some picks from them, something like that.
yeah,
And then like yeah, like I said, like Warriors with Kaminga and Hawks got some interesting stuff. So if we could get some young player and some picks to kickstart that rebuild, I'd be happy.
yeah. No, there's definitely a lot of. I think the Pistons are honestly one of your better teams to trade with because I think you guys need help at big for sure, and they have so many like they can't have them all in a rotation. So I
Yeah.
think it makes move one of them and get kind of a bona fide star player and Spice and kind of just move away like an abundant like there's no point of there's people say that like there's never too much it's like too much talent but I think they got too much talent at one position so better
Well, you
just
got to pay people too, so eventually you're
yeah
just gonna lose them all. So if you could kind of trade 4 quarters for $1, might be favorable if you got a lot of assets to give. So
yeah
And we also got the college football playoffs on the go right now. Washington faces Michigan in the finals on Monday. I know you're watching that semifinal game between Michigan and Bama. What was your take on that?
I mean, I was definitely cheering for Bama. I'm not necessarily a Bama fan, but I liked Isaiah Bond and Jalen Miller. I kind of liked how everyone hated on them getting into the playoffs. So everyone kind of wanted to see them lose. So I kind of wanted to see them upset Michigan because I've never liked how kind of easy Michigan's conference is. Like the only tough game they had to play all year is really Ohio State. So I wanted to see them lose, but they look good. JJ McCarthy honestly impressed me. They won it by the skin of their teeth, to be honest. But a win's a win. They're going on to the finals. That's all that really matters. But I think Washington's going to have a really tough time, to be honest. Like I thought, going into the game, the winner of that Alabama Michigan game, I thought they were going to win, and I still believe that. I think Michigan will beat Washington. I think their defense is really good. John Harbaugh is just a really good coach and runs a really good system. So I think Washington and Penix are gonna have a really tough time trying to beat Michigan. What's kind of your take?
Yeah, no, I'd have to disagree with that, honestly.
Really?
I got Washington taking this.
Yeah.
Um, that the Michigan Bama game, it was close. Michigan's like D line was played really well and got a lot of sacks on Milrow and stuff, but I didn't see anything like that Michigan offense. It was okay. I mean, I wasn't too impressed with it. McCarthy had like 220 passing yards. Blake Corum had like 90 yards. He had a good game, I thought. He played well, but that Washington and then like the issue going in for Washington against Texas was supposed to be like they were big underdogs. Like the Texas D line was supposed to do all this stuff to them, but I mean, Penix looked amazing. He had 430 yards, 2 touchdowns. Adunze had 125 yards. Polk had 122 yards. The offense was just rolling. Like Penix to me played damn near a perfect game. It was just impressive to watch, and hopefully in the future Steeler, I'm trying to talk into existence. I'd love
Yeah.
Steelers to draft him. I've been saying that for a long time. Penix is my guy. Um, yeah, I got Washington taken, to be honest. But Raylan Trice was all over Quinn Ewers. He had 4 tackles, 2 sacks, came up big in a big game. Hoping he can come up big in another big game here against Michigan.
Um, I honestly think coming to this game, I think Washington has the quarterback advantage. I saw an interview after the Texas game, and they're asking Penix. He said previously that he hadn't played his best game yet for Washington. They asked him like, "Have you played your best game?" He's like, "Nah, it's gonna be next game." So I really like that. I really like when a quarterback's got complete confidence in their game and like knows they're that guy. So I'd honestly I want Washington to win, but I think it's really hard to put two back-to-back games up like that. They played the best they possibly could against Texas, and I just find especially in college it's hard to duplicate two really good games in the playoffs. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping they win, but I don't know. I have a feeling after Michigan barely getting by Alabama, I feel like they come out and have a big game, and
Have a big bounce back game.
I feel like if Michigan starts out hot, maybe the passing game gets going a little earlier, and Washington maybe doesn't score their first few drives, I feel like they'd have a tough time coming back against Michigan. But who
Yeah.
knows? I think it's going to be a really really close game. I'm not sure. Do you know what the betting odds are on that game?
I think Washington's like plus 160.
Okay.
Michigan, I forget what they are. I can look it up in a quick set
Yeah.
just for confirmation, but
Yeah.
um, I just think Washington's been that team all year.
Yeah.
I've watched a few of their games. Penix went in, outdueled Caleb Williams. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself like a college football expert by any means. I don't really watch it that much unless like a huge game, but a couple of the Washington games I watched, like I watched that game against Caleb Williams, and Penix just was the better guy. I watched like Drake May play. Drake May. He was okay. Like it wasn't anything too special, but watching Penix, man, and like Bo Nix, I watched that the championship game, the Pac-12 championship game.
Yeah.
Penix and Nix, like Bo Nix, yeah, he was good, but just when I watch Penix, man, it's just unbelievable to me. Like to me, he's looked like the best QB to me. Like I don't know, that could be crazy to say, but from the little I've watched, it's
Yeah.
what I've
I
thought.
also like. I mean, I don't watch too much college football. I kind of like to watch the playoffs, but I mean, I don't really follow. But I honestly think Penix is probably the third best quarterback. So I don't think it's. But I feel like he's a quarterback that could be like kind of like Jalen Hurts or Lamar, like kind of getting sneaky underrated, and then end up being
I
like
mean,
better.
he's also like with him as like a draft prospect too. I think he's like 23, where Caleb Williams says like 21. So those
Yeah,
couple extra years definitely playing. And Penix has had some big injuries too in the past. I pulled up the lines here. Michigan's minus 200, Washington plus 165, with a 4.5 point spread.
yeah. I mean, I'd say that's kind of what I'd imagine it to be. I'd say that's probably fair, but I mean, I I don't know. I'm definitely still leaning Michigan, but I think it's gonna be a good game.
Yeah. No, I like Washington at that line personally.
Yeah,
I've
I
been in on them for a little while, to be honest, since I think it was like plus 2,000 or yeah, plus 1,800. I've been in on them, so I've been cheering for them for a while here. I'm hoping they
yeah
cash the ticket, but
yeah. Um, I mean, that's honestly, I mean, that's pretty good value getting them at. When you bet on them?
this is before the Pac-12 championship game. They
Okay, so
were
they weren't
three
even
to
in the
one underdogs against Oregon, and
yeah
I was looking at like the teams they all play, and I was like, I don't know, like Washington looks like the better team to me, and so yeah,
yeah.
when it all started for me as a cheering for Washington this year.
I'd like to see what Penix draft stock would be like if they win this game, like and like
Yeah,
convincing. If he play like another game like he did against Texas, like he'd have to be in consideration to go like is him and Drake May a conversation? I mean, I don't know. A lot of people
yeah.
think
I mean that seems kind of ridiculous based on what I've been seeing. It's like
yeah, well,
Caleb
he's
Williams number one,
yeah.
like locked in. Drake May number two locked in,
Oh yeah.
and then like Daniel seems pretty secure at three as of now. And
Yeah.
then take your pick with Nix and McCarthy and
Yeah.
Penix. But Washington's got a lot of studs, man. Like Rome Odunze, their wide receiver. He's like a lot of people have him as the number two receiver for the draft this year. Got some
Over
other possible draft talent. Pardon?
over Malik. People have him like ranked over Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, some people like Mel Kiper. I seen had him as the number two. I mean, if not number two, like probably number three, number four. So they've got some other weapons that could get drafted, like Jalen Polk, and they got like Braylon Trice, their like star edge rusher. He'll probably be like a first or second round pick, and they got a really good offensive lineman, Troy Fatana, who's also probably going to be like a first, second round pick. So they definitely got some studs.
Yeah. Um. Were you watching much of the World Juniors over the break?
Yeah, I love watching the World Juniors. I watched pretty much all the games. It was pretty disappointing to see Canada get bounced in the quarterfinals. I mean,
Yeah.
they played a terrible first period, let in 2 goals, and then second and third they just dominated, but only managed to get 2 goals. And then a minute left, a couple bounced off a shin pad, it goes in. It's just devastating. I remember like I was sitting there, me and my sister were watching. I was like, I don't like the way this is going. We're getting all these chances, but not burying. Like Czechia's just gonna friggin' put one in off someone's bucket and it's gonna go in. And sure enough, minute left, they lose. Tough
I,
break.
to be honest, like this year, I just wasn't excited about Canada's team. Like, especially after last year, how special that team was. I mean, it was just just watching them play, even like the pre-tournament games. I was like, oh my god, I'm not confident of Canada and USA looked so good, and on paper they were so stacked. And honestly, the tournament kind of played out how I thought it. I didn't think
Yeah.
Canada would be home in the quarters, but I was thinking, if we play USA in the semifinals, I do not like our chance of winning. But USA was just so stacked. Like
Yeah,
I just
they're gross.
they were just miles ahead of everyone else there, and they really proved it. Like no one, I mean, they just kind of dominated the whole tournament, and
Yeah.
they got some.
You can just
And
go down their roster, just
yeah,
naming guys like and it takes a while, and you're still naming good guys like
like
Will Smith was drafted 4th overall, Cutter Gauthier 5th overall,
Gabe
and then
Perreault,
Isaac
you know,
Howard, Snuggerud,
my
like all
homeboy
those guys.
Hudson Habs, future
Yeah.
Habs number 1 blue liner.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. Habs had a couple big prospects in the tourney.
Yeah,
Lane Hudson on US and
Philip
Phil
Messer.
Baser on
Yeah,
Slovakia, was it?
yeah, on
What are
Slovakia.
your thoughts on them?
I mean, them two looked really good, to be honest. I mean, Hudson, I think Hudson might have, like, I didn't really see defenseman that I thought, okay, this guy's definitely better than Hudson at the tournament. I mean,
Sandy and Pal, maybe.
maybe. But playing, like, his thing at college was offensive defenseman, so I kind of always thought of his game like that. But he's not just offensively, he's definitely talented, great with the puck, good play.
US had him out there on the PK
Yeah,
in the
like
finals, I think it was.
he's such a good skater. Like he can shut down players. He's got great hockey IQ by the looks. So he was probably like the most impressed I've been with like a Habs prospect of the World Juniors in a while. But Master, we took Master with the 31st pick, I believe, a draft ago, and honestly, like he looked pretty good on a pretty bad Slovakia team. So, I mean, I'm excited to see what maybe he can become. We also had Owen Beck on
Oh
Canada.
yeah, yeah.
We took him, I believe, high in the 2nd round. So I was kind of hoping to see, but he honestly, him out of the 3 was kind of, I didn't see too much of him. He wasn't that great in Canada, but definitely 2 guys that I'm excited to see hopefully in a Habs uniform soon.
Yeah, like to me, kind of like you said coming in, I wasn't too high on Canada. I figured like I probably had them 3rd in power rankings behind US and Sweden, but like I kind of started talking myself into like, you know what, maybe they got a chance when they got Poitras from Boston. He was like playing 3rd line on Boston. They're like 2nd place in the East. So like, okay, like you got him, you got Savoy was drafted like 9th, and
Yeah,
Connor Geeky and some guys, like maybe we got a chance, but pretty much everyone to me underwhelmed. Like the one guy that didn't underwhelm was to me was Celebrini, projected 1st overall pick in this upcoming draft. To me, he looked unreal.
like would you how do you grade him as like a potential 1st overall pick? Like, do you think he's in like a Matthews type of
I
class?
think I think Jack Hughes, maybe not quite Matthews, but man, uh, I think yeah, maybe around a Jack Hughes level, like not quite like a Bedard, McDavid,
So
even Matthews, where it's like, okay, this guy like is going to be a superstar, but
you think he's
more,
a future number 1 guy on a
yeah,
team?
like a guy that when he comes in, it's like, okay, this is the number 1 pick. Like he's not gonna be the best player of all time, but he's like bona fide number 1 pick, and it's gonna be the face of a franchise. I think that's Celebrini's potential.
See, to be honest, like coming into the tournament, I wasn't that high on him, and after he definitely showed me why people are hyping him up and why he's the projected 1st overall pick. But I don't know. I think he'll be good, but I don't think he's going to be like a Jack Hughes type player. I think he'll more be like a solid 1st line center. I like maybe like around like a Nick Suzuki range, or like just, I'm not saying like the same type of player, but I'm just saying like maybe an all-star like 1st line center, but I don't think like he'll get to the superstar level, to be honest. But you
Maybe.
never,
I don't know.
very
Like
skilled.
I can't say I watch a ton of college hockey, so
Yeah,
that's kind of the first time I really got to see him, and just to me he looked super skilled, like with the puck, and got great hands. Like he's got a pretty good shot, so he was looking good to me. But at the same
yeah,
time, I watched Lafreniere at the World Juniors, and I thought he was gonna be like a Matthews level. So I eat and crow on that one, but
yeah.
still time for Lafreniere, honestly. Like
I mean,
I'm comparing him to McKinnon, where McKinnon didn't come out the gates fine. It took him like I think till like year 5 to really break out. So
yeah,
I'm
but
still
like
got hope for Lafreniere.
McKinnon's first year, like he took like the worst place Colorado to the playoffs. So like he might not have came out like point per game like McDavid, but he was still like a solid art, like coming in like solid 2nd line player. But I
Yeah,
think
well, I'm not saying necessarily making a direct comparison, but McKinnon definitely like he wasn't putting up points like that till a
no.
couple years in.
But I think if Lafreniere, I think he's got to get out of New York. To be honest, I think like sometimes players just need a change of
Yeah,
scenery, kind of go to the next level. And I think all the pressure of like playing in New York. I think you got to be a certain type of a person to be able to handle playing like the biggest not the biggest market in hockey, but the biggest city and just all the pressure and all the nonsense that just goes on in New York. I think it's a tough thing to do, and like they played him on like the third line, like, and
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like the way like how he got to New York and stuff. They had Panair and they had like all these good offensive players where he's not playing on the power play. He's not getting those offensive face-offs. Like it's hard to really put up big numbers on like a third line role but at the same time like that's what for New York to win, that's what they're gonna do. Like they're not gonna give him power play minutes over Panarin, but I think if you gave him a new scenario, it could be beneficial for him.
I also don't think it's coincidence that him and Kakko came in back-to-back years and both struggled out of the gate. I just think New York had such high talent in the top six. It was hard to find spots for them two young guys to get in. I think it kind of playing with like kind of the grit
a bit.
Yeah, like it's hard for because they're skill guys. They're not really grit grind third line dump and chase kind of players. They're more play with skill players. They make skill plays. So I think bring Laffy over to Montreal. Bring him to his home. I think that'll fix him up real quick. So
Any other players that stood out to you at the World Juniors?
I mean, I didn't really watch too much of Finland or Sweden, to be honest. I watched the final game, but I think Johansson was pretty. I mean, at the end he's being a little scumbag, but I think he looked pretty good today. But I just kind of really impressed with a lot of the guys on that USA had, and Bro and just all these nuts guys.
McGregor, like all those boys.
Yeah,
the team.
Were there any like guys on the other teams that went under the radar for you?
I don't know too much about like under the radar, but just some guys that had some good tournaments that I thought were impressive. Like Axel Sandin Pellikka, the Detroit first round pick, like the Swedish defenseman, he was really good, and Yuri Kulich on Czechia. A couple of guys on Slovakia too that I watched a few of Slovakia's games. I thought they were kind of an underrated team. They had like a tough loss, but like Petrovsky and some of those guys. Penguins had one player on Canada there, Braden Yager.
Yeah.
So I was definitely keeping on him. I mean, he was okay. It was like I wasn't too impressed with him. Like I think he could probably be like a middle six forward maybe. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess he is really Pittsburgh's one. I mean Pickering, I guess too, but Pittsburgh's one.
Pickering. He's like, this is his I think it's his last year of eligibility, and Penguins picked him 21st overall. Didn't make the team. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like frig, like this guy's a cone. And then Canada loses two defensemen. So surely the 21st overall pick 2 years ago, and as a 19-year-old, surely he'll make the team now, right? No. Like, oh my God. I remember we were watching the draft, like to the boys at Boston Pizza, and they picked Picker, and I was like, oh, classic.
Yeah.
And Brian Burke and Ron Hextall, the former Flyers, sabotaged the team.
I remember at the time, like a few of the boys were thinking like he's pretty good and going to be good, but then I just kind of some of the things they were showing like his highlights during the draft, and like I was like, I don't know about this guy, but
yeah, classic.
I don't know. Pittsburgh's in shambles. They gotta get some of Montreal scouts, get some better talent.
To be honestly, well, it's just we never have picks really. It's part of the problem.
Yeah, true.
I had a big win against the Bruins there.
No.
But yeah, it's just been tough they're not that far out of the playoffs. Like they've been shit and they're not in a playoff spot. But I think if they put on a push here late, I think they can get in. If they get in, they got talent to make noise. Like, all you gotta do is get in. Like it doesn't matter if you're 1 or if you're 8. Like you got a shot.
Montreal went to the damn finals just because Carey Price
put on his head.
Yeah. Like we probably like the worst roster in like the whole playoffs and went to the damn finals.
You beat my Penguins that year, I think, didn't you?
No, that was the year before.
Oh, the year before, yeah.
The COVID year, Price stood on his head again and kind of beat Pittsburgh, and then we lost to Philly in like 6 games. But
and like Montreal wasn't even good enough to be there, and they still
we were like
based on like you got like put in because the season got cut short and you still beat my Penguins.
20, I believe we were like the 22 seed of the whole league, and like got in, and then beat Pittsburgh, who was like the 12 seed or something, like they were like the highest seed of like the non like guaranteed playoff teams, and we beat them.
No. And then I guess the like the big playoff run for Montreal there was when you came back on Toronto.
Yeah, bomb leaves.
Love to see it.
Like they were up 3-1 talking about they're winning the cup this year, and then proceeded to lose 3 straight to Montreal.
You know nothing pissed off the Leafs fans more than that.
Well, like that wouldn't have happened against any team but the Leafs too. Like it was just so Maple Leafs for that to happen. Oh, that I've never been happier after we won Game 7. That was just pure joy. Getting to text all the like Bo and Cher, the Leafs fans, just hold that, you bums. Pure comedy.
Yeah, classic.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts there before we wrap up?
No, all good. Good.
Yeah.
I'd say probably. How'd you rank the World Juniors out of 10? I'd say it's a pretty mid-year, to be honest. I mean, I guess with Canada.
7, 8.
Yeah.
Solid. There's some good games, like Germany beating Finland. A couple of good games. Like Sweden, Canada wasn't like a good outcome, but still good to see those big games. But we just gotta get Russia back in, and tournament's so much better when Russia's in.
It's really a shame because it kind of the top 4 now. It used to be like 5 really solidified teams that they could really win it now. I mean, Finland's
so like one of those teams is getting eliminated in the quarterfinals every year.
So, and now like Finland's also a little weaker. I mean, this year they were solid, but like they've been weaker the past few years. So, I think it'll be nice. We definitely got to get Russia back in there for sure.
Sure. Yeah. All right. We'll wrap up the episode there, and we'll probably be back next week with like a NFL playoff breakdown. My Steelers got a big game this week against the Ravens. Lamar's sitting, and they need to win that game, and then we need either the Dolphins to win or the Titans. The Dolphins beat the Bills or the Titans beat the Jags. So, not that we're going to win the Super Bowl, but it'd be nice to at least see a playoff game.
Yeah.
And your Panthers are
my Panthers
at all.
Meaningless game against the Bucks. I mean, not meaningless for some teams, if we win, but a lot of teams but meaningless for us. Got no playoff chance. It's just out there to have fun, basically.
All right, we'll be back next week.